It's my
Welcome back
my
to the
turn.
welcome back to the podcast, guys. Number 35, as Chris thinks it's 35,
I
right?
think it's 35.
All right,
Yeah.
we'll go with 35. Um, what's going on over in Central PA?
We're getting a good dousing of rain right now. It's pretty chilly out there. It's like 66 degrees here.
It's cooler here today. It's like 78,
Yeah.
but definitely cooler.
But yeah, it's I didn't really do a whole lot this week as far as hunting related things.
You took it easy.
Yeah, I mean, I checked my plot, my fall plots. It's well germinated. It's a couple inches high, maybe. I don't know. It's
I got pictures from my plot today, from the cell cams. All my
yeah,
beans are up about that tall.
yeah. Mine's. I went over and I was kind of uh surprised to see that there was this weed in there, and I can't remember what it's called. But hopefully that sucker don't take off, man. If it does, I might have to go over and mow. You know, if it get because I can mow right over because it's only a couple inches tall.
Hmm
I could set the deck down and just take the head off of all these weeds. Can't remember what it's called. Hairy something or other. I
Just
wonder if wonder
just
if I could find that.
just restart, kill it and replant.
Well, that's what a lot of people on on the Facebook forums are asking the questions right now. Oh, I've got these weeds in my fall plot. You know, what can I spray on them? It's like too late, dude. And I didn't know I had any issues because I let that fallow for like a month, and I was pretty much weed free while it sat there.
Hmm
Um, but once I hit it with fertilizer,
Yeah,
stuff shot up, and I was like, "Ooh boy!"
that'll be all right.
I think Nebraska and everything will take over and shade that junk out. But the thing is, if that weed goes to head, I looked it up and was reading about it, and it said it's very invasive and has a lot of seeds.
Right.
Let's
Well,
see if
I
I can
had
find the name of it while
all
you're
my
talking there.
beans and peas are up about, I'd say, 4 to 5 inches, starting to look like a carpet there. So then that was planted. Let's see, 7, 8, 9 days, 10 days ago.
Hmm.
So all that's looking good, and I haven't had rain. It rained really good at the start of when I first planted, um, but it's been dry the past several days now, and I think we're supposed to get rain tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday.
Hmm.
A little squirt each
Yeah,
day.
hey, it's called Shaggy Soldier,
Okay.
and let's see, Shaggy Soldier is a Peruvian daisy, hairy. Oh boy, I can't even pronounce that. And a fringed quickweed, as it's otherwise known as, and it just comes up and it flowers off into yellow flowers. And it says it's a member of the daisy family. So it kind of looks like a flower out there, but if it goes to head, man, look out. It says
You'll be all right.
it says it has can be invasive weed that is especially harmful to organic crops. The sticky seeds can hang on to livestock and people, creating an additional nuisance. Each plant can produce over 7,000 seeds, and it can reduce crop production by up to half.
Nice.
It's gonna suck all the crap out of my
It'll suck all the moisture and
suck it all
nutrients.
away from my brassicas. I think the dirty deeds made it grow.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Nah. Be all right.
I'll call up Mike and Tim and tell them dirty deeds.
Mm. Well,
What you got?
first of all, my truck blew up.
No, it didn't.
Yep, my truck's blown up that you were going to buy. So
Dave
everybody,
selling me a blowed up truck.
yes, everybody watching or listening, Chris was going to buy my truck next year sometime, and it's a 2013 Dodge Ram. So now I'm currently looking to buy a new one tonight. I have a few meetings to see what I can find out there. So I won't be driving the gray Dodge anymore. So now maybe when I cross into other states, somebody won't say hunt your own state because they won't know who I am.
They
I
won't
got a
know
new I
you.
got a new truck,
New ride.
new ride coming. Nobody will know who I am.
He's gonna pimp it out, tint the windows. No one
Yep,
can see in.
nobody will see me.
No one will see the out of stater.
It'll have no stickers on it, nothing. Nobody will know who I am
I'll slap a city sticker on.
until next month when I get it logoed that says Whitetail Obsession Land Management all over it
Oh boy.
with my cell phone number and all that jazz.
Then we can crank call you.
Yeah, and make a
That'll
prank
be
everybody.
fun.
Yeah, people can prank call me. Real quick to knock it out the way. The past month I've been getting a lot of questions and emails about land consulting, and I'm getting kind of booked up for the winter next year. So if anybody's wanting a land consultant visit for 2024, you might want to get it in because it's getting filled. So you can email me, visit the website. There's all kinds of information on there. Whitetailobsessionoutdoors.com. Other than that, let's jump into today's topic on podcast 35. Chris, what is it?
Today's topic is, what did we say it was?
I'm gonna
Early.
murder you.
What'd you say? Early bow season
Early
prep
season or early bow season tactics.
tactics.
Hey, some
Because
guys
it's
were
right
asking.
around the corner and we got to get ready.
Some guys were asking. I had some emails today. Dave, make a video on early season tactics or talk about it on the podcast. I had a guy ask. So let's bring that up. People got. Let's also compare private land to public land, because and your season, your tactics will be a little bit different than mine because PA season starts in October,
Yeah.
where most of your stuff, foliage and stuff starting to go dormant and things. And my season starts September 7th. So my tactics are going to be a little bit different.
Yeah, there's definitely a timeline to the opening day.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean by that is the element of surprise is nice the first week or two, because when you get into like the third or fourth week, you start to get a lot of foliage depletion. It starts to change and the leaves are turning colors and dropping and things, and you're exposed in a tree.
Mm-hmm.
So early season tactics is a good thing to talk about. Where I'm at, I'm like I said, it's you have that nice element of surprise. First of all, they're not expecting you to be there yet, and you have some cover, and man, it's good times to surprise a deer.
What kind of trees are you using over by you on public land? What kind of foliage and stuff is there?
I like to use on the properties that I hunt. I'm trying to think. Actually, I use more pine than anything,
Mm-hmm.
believe it or not, because
I
it
like
has
pines.
a great background to it,
Mm-hmm. Well,
And
think of the Lucky Stand at the old farm.
yeah, that was a good tree to be in. It created a lot of
I mean,
cover for us.
you could do jumping jacks up that thing.
Yeah, I mean, that was a crazy time, when we hunted that stand. We I don't believe we ever got busted.
Not one time.
You ever remember it? I
Not
don't.
one time.
I don't
Nope.
think we ever got busted in that
It's
tree.
it's funny you weren't there, but like I drove out there to just walk the property before I, leased it or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And when I walked the property, I saw that field and everything. I went down to it. I was just kind of walking around. I was seeing some deer trails and stuff. And I kind of looked in that direction. I said, let me go over there. I looked at that tree. I said, you know what? I'm putting a stand in that tree. I'm going to call it the Lucky Stand. And we hunted that tree for 4 years and we had so much action out of that tree.
Yeah, it was a good spot. I mean, that inside corner of a field is always a hot spot.
Yeah. Yeah, there's pines and stuff. They're good to set in. But sometimes obviously you can't do it on public land, but private land, there's certain pines like you might take a little effort to, clean
Trim
it
them
out.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, because you were there when we set the stands and we had pole saw. We had to clear up the whole side of the tree to get the
Yeah.
sticks on,
Right.
and we actually used, if you remember, some of the branches
As steps.
as steps
Yeah.
because we kind of had to like stagger the sticks a little bit to get up there. But
Right.
it worked. It worked perfect. A little bit of
Oh
effort,
yeah.
you can get hidden pretty well.
The only thing I didn't like was, man, we got covered in sap.
Yeah, that was the only thing.
I had stuff all over me, and
Yeah.
that one seat cushion you had got trashed.
Yep.
That limb we cut above the stand just ended up
Yeah.
just dripping straight down on that one
Yeah.
seat.
It eventually crusted over.
Yeah.
But when you first do cut them, you do get some sap.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But it's not bad.
For sure. But yeah,
Um,
that's what I like to use uh, on the public land that I hunt.
and where are you hunting? What are you looking for that, say, October 1st? Are, should somebody look for, I'm sure you still have some white oaks. You'll have some red oaks starting to drop that time of year.
Yeah.
Are you hunting food in between bedding food? What are you hunting on public land that time of year?
I am on the
Public land.
edge.
Public land.
Public land, I am on the edge of food. And I hunt a mountainside, so
So it's a ridge that you're hunting.
I am near the top of the ridge. So the ridge top is a white oak flat.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so I set up on the side hill just below the ridge. And, you know,
So you're hunting a
they,
bench off the top of the ridge.
I am actually still on the hill.
Okay.
The bench is above me,
Okay.
and I'm on the side hill. And they work their way up. Back in the day, early 1900s,
You were born.
back when you were born, Dave,
Right.
they timbered that section out, and
So you were alive at that time, so you knew.
yeah, right.
All right.
So it was timbered out with oxen and
asses.
asses, and they had some old trails that were all cut down over the hills, and the deer roam all those switchback trails and things that work down over the mountain to the river, so
Mhm.
that they could haul their logs down and they could float them down the river to Pittsburgh. There's the skiffs of logs and things. So I'm off of a series of logging roads and things that are all overgrown but still passable. And like I said, I get on the edge of the food. Because if you go down over, oh my gosh, it's thick and you're not even going to get a shot, you know?
So you're catching the deer moving side to side over that ridge, coming from food to bedding.
Yes. Yep. Mornings, they're coming from food to bedding. At night, they're coming from bedding to the food.
Okay. And you've been
Yep.
pretty successful with it. I mean, you got that
Yeah.
buck back there,
Yeah. This guy here,
off of there.
that guy there was,
You shot another one off the mountain.
yep.
Good one.
It was the other side of the saddle, but yep,
Yep.
it was,
Yeah. Same general area.
he was cruising. Yep.
Yep. That's a good PA buck.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
So that's public land where you're at in
Mhm.
October. You're hunting
Yep.
a transition. So the food though, it's primarily is white oaks
Yeah. It's going
that
to
they're
be
feeding on.
whites and reds.
All right,
Yep.
because there's no fields up there. There's no, you know,
No, there's no ag around me
okay, yeah,
anywhere.
it's just
It's on a
straight
river.
mountain.
It's on a river bend. It's
Okay.
mountain the whole way, four sides.
So they're just going to have whatever woody browse is available.
Yeah, I have a lot of choke cherry, white oak, and red oak,
Mhm.
and they will eat some rhododendron, come wintertime, and
Say rhododendron 3 times.
rhododendron.
Right.
So yeah, they have
Somebody's
all
gonna
that
laugh at
browse,
this podcast.
you know, uh, and they even mushrooms. Sometimes they'll pick on them mushrooms.
Did you see that video online where that deer was eating a snake?
I seen one eat a bird. Someone
Yeah,
had
it
a
was eating
video of.
it was eating a snake.
Yeah, why? It's
I don't know.
weird.
They said I don't know nothing about it, but they said sometimes they got to do that or something. I don't know.
That's odd.
All right, so that's your public land.
That's the
Keep
public land. Yep.
that in October for you.
Yep.
Let's jump to me in public land September, and then we'll cover private land for both of
Okay.
us.
Yep.
So my public land season starts in Maryland September 7th, I believe, this year. It's a Friday.
Hmm.
So me and Zach are hunting some public land the first couple days, and our tactics are the public land that I'm at is 100% flat and is primarily ag country. I mean, it's huge ag fields. I'm talking hundreds of acres of ag everywhere, beans, corn, and it's very small patches of woods with hedgerows, fingers that come out, and then there's a few larger sections. There's tons of white oaks. Primarily, there's a lot of early successional growth areas that's very overgrown where you almost can't walk through it.
Hmm.
And then there's a lot of pines and cedars. So, and there's a lot of swamp thickets with cattails.
Right.
So these deer are used to the cattails. They bed in them around the edges of the cattails. They're very, they're accustomed to that. So what I look for is those pinches and funnels around the cattails that usually go out into a finger or an inside corner. And then I try to find the bedding to where I can kind of hunt in between all that as well. Now, in that time of year, early season, the beans are still green, but it's public land, it gets pressured. So trying to find a large mature buck out in those bean fields in the afternoon during the daylight is probably not going to happen. So I tend to stick back into the woods a little bit because they're probably going to wait till dark and to get to those bean fields. So I'll stick to the woods hunting. Afternoon or morning hunts, obviously you catch them coming back out of those. They're probably feeding in the ag fields all night long, or they're finding acorns, and then I'll hunt closer to bedding that time of year. But anything, if you can find anything that time of year, early season, September like that, where they're feeding on browse, whatever. There's a lot of pokeweed around there that we saw a couple weeks ago when we were there. They were chewing it down to the ground. So anything like that you can find. Obviously, try to find areas, get away from people, do your scouting, try to find unpressured areas. Sometimes it can be tough, but um, that's my focus. Last year, I hunted there. I shot a beautiful velvet buck um, out of there, and I was deep back into um, a section of woods, the furthest away from any parking lot, and it was on the backside of a cattail swamp. So early morning, they came in, and it actually bedded down in the swamp, waited for it to come out, and right around 9:30, it came out on the other side, and I was able to shoot it with my bow. Um, but that would be good, if your season starts in early September, some season start in August. Public land, look for areas away from parking lots.
How far back do you think you was, Dave?
So on that spot where I shot that buck, I was 1.3 miles away from any parking lot.
Okay.
1.3 miles, and we walked that in the morning, or
Hmm.
opening morning. I shot that buck. Um, so that's kind of what we're going to do again this year when we go. We're going to
Right.
be, I got some areas picked out. We'll kind of go there, get there early, try to find far away areas, corners, pinch points, cattail swamps. Try to get them, where they work around those swamps. Sometimes they go through them if it's not too thick and it's not like really really swampy.
Right.
Like sometimes they dry up a little bit, but September, that's what I'm looking for. Some kind of green food source. If you have the cattail swamps, look for that, and then try to find something far away from any parking lot that nobody wants to go to,
Right.
because what I've learned over the
That's a
years
key.
is,
That's a key thing right now. I mean, people, I hate to say lazy, but they're lazy.
well, most punters are lazy. I mean, they don't want to go very far, and hey, I don't blame them. It sucks when you have to drag a deer out or something,
Yeah, right,
but if you look at the most successful people, they're doing something that nobody else does.
right.
If you really think about it, they're going out of the way. They're putting more time in scouting, or they're just going to some remote area that is overlooked by most people. So that's public land for two different time frames on when it starts. So now, why don't you jump into some private land deer hunting?
Okay.
Same time frame. When your season starts in October, where are you hunting on private land?
Okay. Private land, I have the luxury of having a field across the street from me here, and it was owned by family. So, um, they do not do anything with the farm anymore. So, I was given the ability to be able to put in plots. So, there is no more ag around me. All the old farmers have passed or quit or just
There's no ag anywhere.
no, the younger generation just isn't doing anything with the area anymore.
How close do you think the closest ag field is?
Well, if if I have to,
Just take a guess.
I would say there is some corn down the road, probably 2 miles,
Okay.
which is accessible to them. You
Although I'm
know,
sure they're there at some point.
yeah, I'm sure they're going there, but that'll be picked soon
Hmm. Yeah.
and it'll be gone.
Hmm.
Yeah, there will be some remnants, but it's not going to be that big of an attractant. And they'll start towards the third, fourth week of October. They're going to start going, kicking into pre-rut, and they're going to start roaming anyhow and get away from that food.
Hmm.
So, what does attract them to my field is I have a lot of room, I have a lot of food, and I have a lot of dough. So, eventually, the bucks will show.
So
And
what?
they've been there all summer eating.
So
They
what
know it's
you
there.
what you're saying is you have a doe factory.
Yeah, I have created a dough factory at the farm,
Okay.
which I'm all right with.
All right. As long as you're okay with it.
Because where those does are, those bucks will come. They will show.
Yes. Yes, they will.
So my strategy there is there's a couple really good trails that come in to the plots that I plant,
Hmm.
and
And they're coming out of, if I remember right, probably a section of woods that's primarily like pines.
yeah, there's a section of pines. It's a strip that is probably 100, maybe 100 yards wide, and then beyond it is some regular hardwoods,
Hmm.
and there's also a swamp down there beyond Ed's. And you know who Ed is, but
Hmm.
that's the neighboring farm next to us. Beyond Ed's, that's swamp
Out
that
toward the
goes,
stop sign.
yeah, that goes all the way out towards the hard road.
Hmm.
There's I don't know how many acres and acres of swamp down in there.
Gotcha.
So
So you're pulling them out of there.
yeah, I'm sucking them up out of the neighbors. I'm sucking them out of the swamp. And so, it's always like first day of, it's like Christmas time all the time on the, when you start hitting pre-rut and rut time, because man, you don't know what's showing up.
Hmm.
Those deer laid in that swamp all summer never even showed their head unless it was dark,
Hmm.
and, I've already got some really good ones on camera, and I showed you some of those pictures this week. I've got some deer that are almost shooting worthy,
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen them.
because I've had the plots in 3.5, 4 years or whatever now, and I've never shot a deer there.
Well, you've never shot a buck.
Yeah, I've never shot a buck. I've passed and passed and passed on
Yes.
everything. Um, a couple of the
Uh,
neighbors did shoot some, but
yeah. Well, let's
so
let's
what?
let's talk about that real quick because I see some guys that'll say, well, like let's for instance, you have that little piece there. It's just one place that you hunt. You
Hmm.
have not shot a buck there in 3 years, but yet you're doing food plots and everything like that.
Yeah.
So I see somebody would say, "Oh, well, you have private land, you have food plots. you're doing something wrong because you should be shooting bucks. Well, let's break it down. You can't shoot what's not there.
Right.
Some areas are just, I mean, your area there, it's not a buck area.
You
It's
know,
just,
I
so you passed you passed them
I
for
did.
a couple years, and now all of a
Yes.
sudden you have bucks to shoot.
Now all of a sudden I've got a buck factory.
Hmm.
I, you should see
You've
my
had bucks there, just
Yeah,
small ones.
I've had like spikes and like
You have
three
little
points and stuff,
4 pointers and stuff.
I've had those for years, but
Now you got bigger
now
ones.
now they're growing up and I've got some respectable bucks there. Um,
But
you
that's what it
know,
takes, is what I'm saying.
oh
Like,
yeah, for sure,
you
for
can't
sure.
shoot what's not there.
Well, when someone says you have a doe factory, well, guess what? Those does are having a lot of them are having fawns and there's buck fawns in them.
Hmm.
And yeah, they look like a doe standing there with the other ones, but you know, if you have a doe that has two fawns, statistically, one of them could be a buck. A lot of times, twins they're either two does or two button bucks. Um, so yeah, all this passing over the 3.5, 4 years that I've been planting
Hmm.
now, it's almost payday, man. And if I don't shoot something this year over there, next year is just going to be phenomenal.
Well, even if you pick one to shoot this year,
I
you
might.
still have other ones that will still be good
Oh
next year.
yeah, yeah. Some of those pictures I sent you, there's multiple. There's like 4 or 5 at a time.
Hmm.
Did I send you that one with them sparring already?
Yeah,
That is crazy. Why are they sparring? I mean, yeah,
they're getting fired
they're
up.
getting itchy, man. They're getting itchy.
Yep. They
Yeah,
can
and
smell it. They,
literally, they might be itchy. That stuff might be ready. I've
they
seen
can
some people already posting pictures of velvet off.
they smell it in the air.
Yeah, it's on its way, folks.
Yep.
It's on its way.
So that's your breakdown over there. You're hunting, the swamp areas. You're pulling the deer out of that patch of
Yeah.
woods into your
Mhm.
plots. You have, and
Daylight too.
right, daylight. Do you have any oaks there on that side?
Oh yeah, there's a ton of oaks right
White
there.
oaks.
Yes,
So
white.
they also got that, which
Mhm.
I think helps because they're eating the acorns and stuff. Hard to
Yeah.
digest. They come out to your plots, get some moisture ridden, lettuce,
Yeah.
and to wash it down.
Right.
So it's really a good scenario
For
over
sure.
there. It's a good setup. You
Yeah.
got some screening over there as well for
Yep.
the block access and you know uh, separate some deer and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to do that for
Yeah.
sure.
So my situation on private land, my farm in Western PA, again, it's all ag country, which is completely different from my old farm, which was big woods. I mean, big woods, no ag, just big woods. So this is a completely different setup. It's, I mean, thousands of acres of ag. There's probably where I'm at, the rest of the woods it connects to, I would say it's probably 300 acres. And then it's all surrounded by ag. And then there's also little fingers that go out. They can obviously cross the road, go to other
Yeah.
woods and stuff. But um, that time of year, in October, the crops are still up. The corn and beans are still up. Beans are, faded out. They're brown, turning brown and stuff.
Mhm.
So I do have some food plots there. But there's so much land there, ag, the deer could be anywhere.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a little hard to pattern them
It would be.
because they could be anywhere. Now, I have done a lot of features on that property. Um, I have 2 water holes. I did a lot of timber cutting last winter. I have 2 food plots, some mock scrapes from travel corridors we put in. So they're used to the area now. I have a lot of bucks on camera coming through, visiting the travel corridors, the water
Mhm.
holes and stuff. So early season like that, I'm hunting the edges because those deer aren't very far from the food plot. So I'm hunting the edges, catching them coming out to the food. Um, easy, easy access, not pushing too much into the woods. Now, the backside of the property, I have probably about an acre, no, probably a half acre bedding area. Pretty big area. I did a lot of cutting in. I did some girdling. There's a lot of sunlight in there, regrowth, and the deer are in there big time bedding. And I have one tree stand on the outside of that, right on the outside with a travel corridor that wraps around. I save that stand. I'm saving it. I have a cell cam there. Once the rut probably hits, I won't touch that stand until then. When I start, when a rut kicks in, bucks are going to be in there scent checking and, all that. And so I can get in there and sit majority of the day
Mhm.
for that setup. So I won't push the limits until later into the year. So early season, I'm hunting the edges. I don't really have much oaks. Now there is oaks on neighboring properties. There's a bunch of pines and cedars and stuff. I don't have none of that either. But I have created a lot of regrowth on my side with some hinge cuts and, you know, uh, flush cuts and girdling and stuff where allowed more sunlight and all that stuff. And last year, following this tactic, I was able to shoot my target buck, which you saw pictures of it. But it was a buck we called 210. But he was there all summer long. He disappeared a little bit in October, but then he came back in November, and I was able to shoot him open day of rifle season. Which there's a lot of people in that area I know that was after that buck, and all said and done, he stayed within my area
Right.
because I didn't enter the woods. I didn't spook them out, didn't do anything like that. So, um, whether it's public or private, you have to be careful with pressure. Public, you know, it's so much public land that you can screw up an area and then you just go find a new area.
Right.
Private land, you have to be more cautious because if you screw
Yeah.
up your 40 acres, where else do you go?
Yeah.
So that's why I like sticking on the edges, waiting to push my limits
See,
until
that's what cracks me up when someone says, "Oh, like you were saying earlier, oh, you've your private land and you got plots. That's too easy. You can."
and
Well,
it's not easy.
no, it's not any easier because if you pond the crap out of that spot,
It's done for.
you either ruin it that way or exiting at night. Like we were talking last week on a podcast, how I have to exit sometimes,
Hmm.
and bump. You can only bump them so many times before they don't come back in the daylight,
Or
you know,
at all.
or at all,
It might
you
take them a
know.
couple weeks or something to come back.
But yeah, I have a few stands like you were just mentioning that I don't access till around
Certain.
Halloween time. Yeah.
Right. You just let
Yep.
them simmer, and
Just
then
let them simmer, and I
when
got
it
a
heats up,
camera
get in there.
back there, and yep, when it starts to be time for them to start chasing phase, you know, I love to go back there and hunt that spot. Um, I've been using a lot of mock scrapes the last 2 years,
Hmm.
and that seems to be helping. Um, I don't know. I never used to use mock scrapes before, but I've grown to like them. I know you used to use them a lot. I don't know. You
Hmm.
still using them?
Yeah, still use mock scrapes. Yep.
Yeah, I've grown to like them a lot lately, and
They're good for inventory.
yeah, it's great for inventory. You know, uh, it tells you what's in the area, and like I said, you can't hunt what's not there, so it's a good indication of what's there. I don't like to waste my weekends or my one night I can hunt in an area that there's nothing there.
Well, I want to say one last thing before we wrap it up, but that's trail cameras. Now, I know some people that put a trail camera out, that, it's probably in a good area, but the camera's not really showing much.
Yeah,
But what I can tell you is, I know some people guys that'll put a trail camera out, they won't get no pictures, they won't hunt the area. horrible idea because that camera is only seeing a small portion.
Yeah.
What happens if that deer is just moving 5 feet off cam to where you can't,
Or
so
walking behind it.
rocking behind, whatever it is. But don't rely on that camera 100% because a lot of them cell cams, they miss pictures. Like you just don't get them. So I wouldn't rely on. It's a good indication you can use, but just because there's nothing on the camera, I know this for a fact. Don't rely on that 100%.
Right.
Give it a chance. It could just be that camera could be, ever so off the path of that animal, the wrong height, it's not pointed, angled down, whatever it is. Deer walking under it where it's on kind of on a hill, whatever it is. But just give it a chance, and I think you'll
Yep.
be surprised.
Yep.
Episode 35 in the
Yeah, we
books.
better wrap this one up.
Yeah, it's a long one, but we wanted to get it out there because seasons. I mean, shoot, it's 2 weeks
Right
away
around the corner, man.
for me, for me
For
anyway.
you, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the third week of September is my first hunt with the bears. So
Right. So we got season
I-
coming. I gotta get a new truck and
Jeez.
get ready for hunting season here.
Yeah.
So everybody, wish me luck on finding a truck and
Oh man.
and yeah, good luck.
All right, everybody. That's 35 in the books.
All right.
Sundays at 5 every week. Subscribe to
YouTube.
our channels.
Yep. YouTube.
Look us up. Instagram. We both have Instagrams, YouTubes.
Yeah.
What else you got?
We
Got something else?
We got some group chats going on there.
Group chats.
Yeah, and then again, if anybody wants some land management done, we do the work, bedding areas. We can do everything for you. Consult, write you up a plan and all that, and might even get Chris out there this year, 2024, a little bit. And
Fix you up.
yeah, just get a hold of me and we'll get you set up.